Hi, I'm Rosie from Engineering with Rosie on YouTube, and I've teamed up with the Manufacturing Academy to bring you this amazing content series on the 6 Australian manufacturing priorities, which includes mining, food and beverages, defence, space, recycling and clean energy, and medical products. Manufacturing is a capability which is important for the transformation of the entire Australian economy. In Australia, we enjoy a high standard of living and relatively high wages, and if we want to maintain or increase that, then we can't do it by competing on cost with lower wage countries. So we need to move to higher value manufacturing, and that's not going to happen by accident. So what are we going to do about it? The Australian government has recently released a modern manufacturing strategy with the intention to help Australian manufacturing scale up, become more competitive and resilient, and create new jobs. Much of the strategy is based around 2 aspects: advanced manufacturing and focusing on higher value parts of the entire manufacturing value chain, from R&D through to services. Nearly 1 million Australians are employed in manufacturing currently, plus over 300,000 more working in supporting roles from research and development through to sales and service occupations. Altogether, manufacturing makes up around 10% of the Australian workforce. But manufacturing in Australia needs to change in some key ways, and has already begun this transformation. The focus is moving away from cost, where we can't and wouldn't want to compete with low-wage regions. Instead, we're focusing on value, making products better, not cheaper, and moving away from simply producing to other activities that you may not even associate with manufacturing, yet they form a key part of the manufacturing process. Manufacturing is more than just putting things together. It includes many more activities that support this making of things. So research and development, design, logistics, distribution, sales and services are all part of the manufacturing process as much as actual production is. And these pre- and post-production activities have more value potential too. The best way to illustrate the change is through this smiley curve. The chart shows the different stages of manufacturing on the horizontal axis, from pre-production to production through to post-production. And the vertical axis shows the value added at each stage. In the 1970s, the smiley curve was pretty flat, with similar value all along the manufacturing process. There wasn't that much difference in the value added during production compared to early stages like R&D or late stages like sales and services. But in the decades since, we've seen the edges of the smile come up, and while the value of production itself has gone down. So this explains why what you may think of as traditional manufacturing has become less competitive in Australia, and a lot of the production part of manufacturing has moved offshore to lower wage countries. But as that aspect became more challenging, opportunities have arisen in other parts of the manufacturing process. By the 2020s, the smiley curve has steepened from a Mona Lisa smirk into a broad grin, and countries and companies that are operating at the edges are the ones with reason to smile. There's greater value added in research and development and design in the pre-production phase, and sales and services in the post-production phase. These are the areas where Australia has an opportunity to add a lot of value. But without much actual production here, these supporting industries are not just going to develop by accident. We'll need to be intentional about it. The other major shift is towards advanced manufacturing. Now, perhaps that sounds like I mean making spaceships or robots, and that is certainly part of it. But these aren't the only kinds of product that can benefit from more advanced manufacturing. It's not so much about what you're making as it is about how you're making it. So if I make a wind turbine by hand in my backyard shed, that's not very advanced. But if a company uses additive manufacturing and automation, then it would be. You might think that textile manufacturing is not advanced, but some textiles companies invest in a lot of research and development to create innovative solutions for niche markets, which makes them very innovative manufacturers. There is a lot of value in manufacturing that isn't linked to labour costs in the way that traditional manufacturing is. So along pre- and post-production parts of the manufacturing smiley curve, there's significant value that can be added at all stages, and which offers ample opportunity for Australia to expand its manufacturing capabilities. So you might be wondering why we even need to expand Australian manufacturing. Can't we just run our economy on mining and retail and leave the production part of manufacturing to the low-wage countries? The fact is that manufacturing is key to nearly every industry that supports the Australian economy. The minerals that are mined go on to provide materials for manufactured products. In fact, miners are early-stage manufacturers. And of course, retail depends on having manufactured products to sell. Both industries are key parts of manufacturing, and by building our manufacturing capabilities, we can extract significantly more value onshore. Germany, Japan and Korea are examples of countries that have successfully managed a transition in their manufacturing capabilities. In these countries, businesses spend the equivalent of 1.9 to 3.3% of their GDP on research and development, with manufacturing taking up the bulk of their R&D spending. In contrast, Australian businesses' expenditure on R&D is only 1.2% of our GDP, and manufacturing is only a small part of that. Those countries that have higher R&D spending also have more diversified and complex exports, which are associated with higher income levels. While Australia's income is currently high, given the relatively low complexity of our exports, our high incomes are actually an outlier. In terms of economic complexity, we're actually in the company of much lower income countries, like Uganda and Burkina Faso. Increased economic complexity is strongly correlated with increased income, and if we don't increase ours, then we're going to be fighting this effect if we want to maintain the high incomes that we currently enjoy. Australia has identified 6 national manufacturing priorities, which were selected based on opportunities to leverage existing strengths. The 6 priorities are resources, technology and critical minerals processing, food and beverage, medical products, recycling and clean energy, defence and space. This video is the first in the series, which includes videos for each of these priorities. And I'm going to talk about the opportunities to increase value specific to each priority in those videos. So check those out and I'll see you in the next video.